today I am so honored to have Cali Gilbert as my guest. Cali, I've known for a couple years and I've watched her grow from writing a series of serendipity books to now becoming a movie producer, writing her own short movie. And I am so excited and so happy for you. And the thing is, Callie, that your history is that you were homeless at one time. So, how in the world did you go from homeless to now building this career?
Yeah. Hi, Arlene. It's so great to be here. My story the last few years, I was actually homeless twice in a span of 2.5 years. And the first time I had just received my master's degree from the University of San Francisco. I had a background in event management. I had this huge network, and I thought, I can just write my ticket to success, ready to go. And the problem was is I couldn't find a job because I was now deemed overqualified. And that was just, I literally had people say, don't put the degree on your resume. And I'm like, you've got to be
Wow.
kidding me. It's like, okay, then why did I just spend all this money in 2 years of my life if it means, nothing? And so it was really a hard pill to swallow. And I looked for work for about a year afterwards and nothing happened. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. And I'm trying to live off of my savings in the San Francisco Bay Area, which, as most of us know, doesn't last very long. And at the end of 2011, I ran out of money and lost my home.
Wow. So, how did you feel? What was the feeling inside of you when you were at that low point?
Yeah, the first time around, I was in pure survival mode. It was, victim, the question, why is this happening? I have 3 college degrees, I couldn't understand why something like that could possibly happen to me. And so at the end of 2011 was really a difficult year because what I didn't know when I graduated at the end of 2010 was that I was also pregnant. So
Oh,
that
I didn't
had,
know that one.
yeah. And so I actually miscarried the child at the beginning of 2011,
Hmm.
and that really began the downward spiral of loss. It went from my car died the following month, my money ran out, the father of the child left me, and then I ended up losing my home. So it was everything in the span of 12 months, which was craziness. But, I began 2012 with, nothing. But what I saw was that, I consider myself an artist. And so I thought, well, you know what? I've got a blank canvas, and what do I want my life to look like? And I was faced with that decision of whether to give up or to start over. But with that mindset, I knew that I could create something that was just mine. And so that's exactly what I did.
Wow, that's amazing to look at it as a blank canvas. But when you were growing up, was your family supportive of decisions you made? That you would get to this point and come up with this solution?
Yeah. It's actually ironic because my parents were not supportive at all. I came from a family that money and material possessions were everything, and I needed to go to the best schools and get the degrees and get the title job and, live happily ever after. And I did that. I actually manifested that. And I had the life that they perceived was the life I was supposed to be living. But the problem is I wasn't happy. And
Mm.
so, as I was living in New York, I had, 4 bank accounts in 2 different countries.
Wow.
I was living the life, but I was miserable. And I ended up giving all of that up to move to California and start over. And everyone thought I was nuts, And so there wasn't really, support. There wasn't emotional support. It was more, what do you need? I'll write you a check. And that was it.
Yeah, and I think that when we're in a place like that, we want that emotional support. So
Absolutely.
who did you go to for that support? Who did you reach out to?
Yeah, so I had a very special friend in my life. He was my best friend. And even though we didn't live in the same state, he was on the other side of the planet, we shared a bond that was so strong that really saw me through the worst time of my life. And it was him, and it was also the community of Sausalito where I lived. I had wonderful friends that, opened up their homes to me, let me crash on their couches, when I didn't have any place to go. And so really it was this wonderful little community of support that I had, which I was eternally grateful for.
That's a wonderful thing, and I think also that you reached out to them.
Oh, absolutely. And that was the thing. I grew up, I think because of my childhood, I grew up so very independent. And, I can do everything myself. And it got to the point where I was like, no, I can't. I need help. And, I need to bite my tongue, and say, all right, we got to do this, and literally ask for help. And I think what I try to get across to people today is that it's okay to ask for help, when you can't do it yourself, because one time is going to come and you're going to be like, you know what? I need help. I need help. And so that was really, I think, a huge step for me in being able to do that. And then seeing the response that I received was really overwhelming.
I think that message is so important for, especially for the women that are listening to this, because we all think that we're superwoman, that we can do everything ourselves. And then what do? We fall in the hole and we can't get out because we're not asking for the help that we need.
Absolutely. And, I think it actually goes double for men, because God bless them. I mean, it's like a sign of weakness if they ask for help, and it's like, no, it's like humans, we can't do everything, we may think we can, but there comes a point where we do need to reach out. So
It's interesting because as a business coach, when I talk to a client and they tell me they're doing their income taxes, I'm like, what? That's not your job. Give it to somebody else. Oh, but I need to do it. No, you don't. It's not that much money involved, and let somebody else take that away from you so you can be the creative person that you are.
absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you about your serendipity books. How in the world did you start writing? Were you always a writer? Did you?
Yeah. So I was always a writer. Things came out of my head and needed to go on paper. That's just how I functioned. And always a photographer. Those were my two passions growing up. But I never really saw it as any more than just a hobby. Like I said, I wasn't encouraged to do that, even though I came from a family of artists. That was the irony of all of it. My dad, very talented artist. My brother, same way. But my mother never even supported them either. So it was almost kind of like, all right, this is what you need to do. Go do it. And so, yeah, I started writing from very young age. In high school, the school papers, went into journalism, actually created the first magazine on Canadian figure skating. After I stopped skating, I was a former figure skater. And so it was always a part of my life, but I never really thought of it as any more than just a hobby until I was faced with the decision of, okay, this isn't working now. We have all these degrees and we can't find work, so I'm just going to focus on what I love, which was the writing and the photography.
So you reached deep inside your heart and you said, what is it that I love to do?
Exactly.
And I'm going to do
Well,
it. Okay, so it wasn't quite like that.
Actually, what I did was I went outside and went, okay, this is not working. Show me what to do. And the answer I got was, do what you love.
Well, that's close.
It's close.
So you brought up figure skating. Where did this come from?
Yeah, so 6 years old, my dad took me skating, God bless him, because he couldn't even stand up on those things. But he took me skating, and I immediately fell in love with the sport, with the ice, and skated for 12 years, traveled around the world, grew up in Canada, and just made amazing connections. Went to the Olympics in 2002, not as a skater, but I actually worked with the Canadian Figure Skating Association there. And it was amazing, amazing childhood in that respect, because it was something that I was truly, passionate about. And my dream when I was a kid was to go to the Olympics and win a gold medal. And, and it was, even that was a dream, because I knew I was never going to get the support, but it was something that was just mine. So it was nice.
Well, that's a part of you I did not know. And I know you a couple years already. So that's pretty amazing to want to go to the Olympics. And you did, even though you weren't a skater, but you still got to go. That must have been an exciting experience.
Oh my gosh, it was the most incredible experience of my life, because I actually had friends. One of my best friends won gold for Canada in ice hockey.
Wow.
And then I actually saw other friends, compete. And so just being there surrounded by, I always said, I don't care if I go and I march in the opening ceremonies and I come in dead last. I just want to be there, And so just the experience, I tell everyone, I'm like, everyone should go to the Olympics just once to just experience it, because it's amazing. It's something you'll never see. It's the whole world comes together for these 2 weeks, and it's just beautiful.
I just want to make a point about something, that we know people, but we really don't know people.
Exactly.
And it's like, and again, I know you a couple years, and I had no clue about that. So it's interesting when you have a friend and you sit down and you start to talk about things in their life and things pop up. So I'm so glad we're here doing this. Now, how did you come up with the idea for Serendipity?
Yeah, so the book actually, I started with a book called It's Simply Sausalito. And that book came about in 2011 with everything that I was experiencing that year. So I needed an outlet. And so I created the It's Simply series of books. And in 2012, I created It's Simply Golden, which was a book on the Golden Gate Bridge and the 75th anniversary of the bridge. And as I was marketing that book, I actually found people that were second and third generation San Franciscans who were like, this is great, but you should do a book on our city. So I ended up doing a book called It's Simply SF, Our City by the Bay, which was wonderful. And these first three books were a combination of my writing and my photography, which was wonderful because I always wanted to find a way of combining both passions. And then I did a book on the America's Cup in the end of 2012. It was a preview to the America's Cup. And then in 2013, It's Simply Serendipity, which is my personal story of transformation.
It's interesting because you take the best photos. It's unbelievable. You really have an eye for photography and an eye for what to take a photo of. I always say, how do you get the sunsets that you get are just kill me that I can't get these sunsets. So the books are now you self-publish those books, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So and out of that you created a business.
Yes.
And your business is how to self-publish.
Exactly. It's a number of things because the Serendipity book, it's basically my story of transformation, but I also introduce a 4-step formula to manifest anything that you want, which is so simple and so powerful if it's applied correctly. That's the key. And so I actually created a membership site called Cali's Crew where I teach that formula and how to apply it to any situation in your life, which you can do. I use it every day. And it's pretty much amazing to see, what you can do from concept to what it is that you truly want to manifest. So that's one thing. And then my latest book is called It's Simply Publishing. And I figured after publishing 5 books, I should be able to write about how to do it. So, and that book is so special because it's just a little book. It's like 60 pages. But it came to me in a dream in March of last year. And I remember it was so funny because I was working on a number of projects. I was promoting Serendipity. And the first night, the dream says, that publishing book you've been thinking of doing, now's the time to do it. And in the dream, I literally said, no, I don't have time. Way too much going on. Can't do it. Sorry. Next. So the next day, the dream actually continued that next night and said, and this is exactly what it looks like, and literally laid the entire book out for me. And I thought, well, if you're going to give it to me, I guess I'll do it. And 30 days later, it was on the market. It turned out to be endorsed by Jack Canfield, by Dan Poynter, the king of self-publishing, ended up being a #1 international bestseller. And I thought, okay, here we go. What can we create from this book? And that's what I'm doing now, is launching a publishing academy so that I can support other writers.
So you listened to a dream, even though you resisted it.
Exactly.
The message came to you loud and clear, and you were saying, no, no, no. And then you realized that I need to pay attention.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that is we have dreams, and sometimes, we need to keep a journal next to our bed and write down what these dreams are. And out of that comes all kinds of things. People have this happen to them all the time.
Yeah.
So
it was incredible.
And in your story, it's Serendipity, you talk from the beginning of being homeless to where you are going now?
Yes, so that book actually covers an 18-month period. It's from the end of 2010 when I graduated, when I got the degree, and then through the spring of 2012. So through everything that I went through, that year of massive loss, and then really facing that decision of giving up or starting over, and then what I created. And it was fascinating. I mean, I look at it, that book is so special because I didn't keep anything out. It's as raw and as authentic, and some people are like, whoa, I didn't expect that. But they're like, I'm so glad you did it that way, because it allowed them to see how, it serves everyone's purpose to just be yourself.
Yeah, I think people have to be authentic, because if they're not themselves, then who are they?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
then I don't know. So now you've got all these series of books. You've got your publishing on the internet. People can go in there and learn how to publish books, how to write books, how to publish it. And now you did the story, your life, not your whole life story, but a period of time and what happened to you. And now you reached out and you're in the movie
I
business.
know.
When I saw that, I said, there's no stopping you, Callie.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's incredible because, so I said serendipity was from that 18-month period to the spring of 2012. And then, but the story continued because I ended serendipity on purpose with kind of a what happens next. It's a personal story of transformation. It's a love story. It's all these things in one book. It teaches, but I left it basically at a cliffhanger where people are like, oh my gosh, what happens next? So I knew that there was going to be a sequel when I wrote it. And that is what I literally just finished writing the sequel to, which is Pearl.
Pearl. Oh, wow, it's published already.
Oh, well, it's not published already. It's written.
But your cover is beautiful, just gorgeous.
Thank you. So yes, I finished writing the first draft about a week and a half ago, 3 weeks early, because I promised my editor I would get it to her by the middle of May. And it's the continuation of what happened. So what happened from 2012, that spring, to then creating this life of my dreams, then losing it over again. That was the thing, and I begin the story of Pearl by saying that it's often a misconception that when we create the life of our dreams, that fear and limiting beliefs magically disappear, which of course we know does not happen.
That's true.
Right? And so I learned a very important lesson by having to deal with those things coming back into my life, making decisions based out of fear, based out of these beliefs, and then seeing how it literally turned my life upside down again. And where I ended up losing my home, I ended up with a very severe back injury at the end of 2012, and was like, wait a second, didn't we already do this? And by the way, now I can't move either, But it was the greatest lesson because during that entire time is when I actually wrote Serendipity, which then, of course, turned out to be a best-selling book. So it's that story now that I'm really excited to share. The book will come out in November, and I'm also adapting it to film. And then right now, I'm also, at this moment, writing the short film based on the Serendipity book.
I was wondering what your film was going to be about. So you are a poster woman for what is possible when you're down and how to get up, and then you get down again, and then you get up, but you never stop.
Exactly.
You're a very, very strong woman, and I admire you greatly. Believe me, I watch you all the time. So in the movie, how are you getting out there? Because living in Los Angeles, everybody wants to be a producer, everybody wants to be an actor, everybody wants to be a director. So how do you get out there and separate yourself from everybody else?
Sure. Well, my thing, I'm a networking queen. I will talk to anyone. I don't have a car, so I take the bus everywhere. I sit on the park bench or bus stop bench, and I will talk to the homeless guy next to me. And the stories you hear there are amazing. And so you just never know who you're going to meet. After all, this is LA, right?
Right.
And so when I got the filmmaking bug, which was September of last year, I actually went to a film festival to support some friends of mine who are directors and producers, and sat there, and all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I can do this, because last year was so incredible. 4 of my 6 books actually became bestsellers in 2014, which was insane. It was like, now what do I do? It's like you think you're going to spend years trying to make that happen, and it all happens in 1 year. So I knew as an artist, I wanted to grow as a writer. I wanted to take my writing to the next level, and it just made sense that being in LA, that screenwriting and directing would be the next logical thing to do. And so I got the bug, and I thought, all right, I can do this. Now, where do I go? I basically took the exact same path to filmmaking as I did with publishing. I knew nothing about how to publish a book, and I had been a magazine publisher, completely different world. So what I did, I researched, I met people, I volunteered for conferences, I did everything I could to learn how to publish a book. I'm doing the exact same thing with filmmaking. I'm getting out there. I belong to networking groups for filmmakers. Go to panel discussions, to film festivals, to events, to anything to do with filmmaking, and just meeting people and sharing my story and making connections and learning. It's like every weekend I take this class from Screenwriting University, and it's amazing. I'm just like, okay, now I know what, a best boy grip is, and a gaffer, and it's like, hooray. So it's exciting. I feel like I've started a new school, and I'm learning all these new courses, and I'm just learning so much, and I'm the type of person that loves to learn. So I always say you can never learn enough, and so I'm just taking it all in and soaking it all up and loving every moment of it.
I love that you talked about networking, because I think that so many people sit in their home, sit in their office, and they go home and they wonder why they're not meeting anybody. And here you are, the epitome of what it is to go out there and network, because you never know who you're going to meet.
Exactly. We were having this discussion yesterday. Last night I went to the Beverly Hills Film Festival, and we were having this discussion with some people, and I said, when I moved to LA 2 years ago, the week that I literally moved here was the week of the American film market. And I remember going by the Lowe's Hotel and going, I wonder what's going on there. Because like all the banners and all the people, little did I know that a year later I would be at the American film market, networking, sharing my story, connecting with producers. And it was like, okay. And now it's like, I'm so ready for November. It's like, all right, look out, world, Cali has arrived.
So now again, you've reached out when you needed help. So now you're writing this film, a treatment, I guess it's called. And then what do you do next? What's the next step once you do this film treatment?
Yeah, so what I'm finding right now, I'm actually writing the script. I'm almost done with the script. It's pretty much done. It's just what I'm finding though is that the way my mind works. The other day I was writing on the beach because that's my office, and as I'm writing the story, a part of my mind is thinking, okay, where am I going to, do location shoots? Who am I going to cast, etc.
Uh-oh. Hold it. We had a glitch.
No.
That's okay. They'll cut that out. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So you're still glitching though.
I'm glitching?
Yeah.
Is it better now?
No, you're all fuzzy.
Oh, shit. Okay, it just moved a little. Okay, am I still fuzzy?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay, so let me see. I don't know what to do to unfuzzy me. Let me see. Is there anything I can do? I don't know. Because you were like that and then you went back to normal. I'm still not back to normal.
No, you're still not back to normal.
Oh, shit. Don't put this in here, Rupa. Okay, I'm going to stop it.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I'm trying to just continue.
Yeah, that's
but,
okay.